Look at that crowd. Look at that crowd. This is the career-threatening match. Ric Flair taking on Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels coming out first. Great ovation from the crowd. Great energy. Man, they don't do those stages like that anymore. God, well, you know what? Texas was a comeback.
That's probably the closest.
Texas was a big comeback. Yeah, that was kind of like, yeah, look at that. Look at that, Shawn Michaels. Great attire. So let's set the story up here as we're seeing these guys make their proper introductions here. So Vince wanted for Ric Flair to think long and hard about one particular opponent, because Vince is very well aware of all the opponents Ric Flair has faced in his illustrious career. But at this time that Ric Flair was involved in the WWE, there was one opponent that Flair never really wrapped his brain around, and that's Father Time. Vince brought Father Time to Ric Flair's attention and basically letting him know, hey, you're 59 years old. It's about time for you to go on ahead and stop wrestling altogether. Flair felt as though 58 going on 59, he could still contribute a lot to the wrestling business. He was not interested in hanging it up. But Vince McMahon saying, no, look, this is honestly what's best for you. You know, you've had a wrestling career up to this point that's gone practically 36 years. You've had damn near close to 6,000 matches. You've won over 40 championships stretched across, you know, various promotions there, right? So Ric Flair was drafted to SmackDown as part of the 2007 draft, if some of you guys recall. And it saw him feuding with MVP for the United States Championship. Flair even teamed up with Batista to go up against the Great Khali. Flair being on SmackDown, it fizzled out real quick, though, because after being drafted, he wasn't even part of the Blue Brand for not even 3 months, and he gets pulled out in storyline. He got injured by Great Khali, and so you don't see him for a couple of months. When he returns to an episode of Monday Night Raw in North Carolina, and you're going, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. We should be seeing you on SmackDown trying to extract some type of revenge against Great Khali. But hey, whatever, man. It's whatever. But the reason why that angle was done to get Flair off of TV was because Vince McMahon had wanted to begin telling the story of Ric Flair going into the sunset. He wanted to do the proper build-up for the retirement match, as we're now watching Ric Flair have his Grand Virtuoso entrance here. Look at that robe. That robe is very fucking beautiful. He had this robe customly made from scratch for this particular WrestleMania. Yeah. Oh my God. Beautiful ass robe, man. I was so happy when they had put that in the video game for that next, I guess it was Raw versus SmackDown. Not really sure. But yeah, Vince had decided he wanted to pull Ric Flair so he could properly do a build up towards Flair's retirement match at WrestleMania 24. Triple H had commented on the matter in retrospect, saying, I think it was getting to a point where people were starting to worry about him in the ring. No matter how much we told him, Rick, you don't need to do that stuff, he would do it on his own. I'm not sure if he was fully in his mind ready to retire. Vince broached the subject with him. Vince said there's a reason why they put a jockey on a racehorse. Somebody's got to pull the reins or they will run until they die. It's his job to pull the reins. So a plan was put in motion before Flair would have this WrestleMania match against HBK Shawn Michaels, that he would be inducted into that weekend's WWE Hall of Fame. Then the next night, have the match, nice good send-off and everything. And the way the storyline had came about was pretty badass. It almost mirrored in reality how Flair was feeling, as Flair was not trying to retire. Again, Flair came back on Raw not on SmackDown, despite the whole shit with Great Khali. You got to rewind it back to the Monday Night Raw episode going back November 26th of 2007 from North Carolina. Folks were expecting for him, including myself in real time, we're going, okay, this is it. He's getting ready to announce his retirement. And instead, he said, I'm never going to retire. Never retire. Vince McMahon comes out. This is pleasing to his ear. As he says, okay, yeah, well, you know what? You better keep on winning then every single match that you're in, because the minute that you lose, you're done. From here on out, your career is going to be on the line. And see, most people got lost as we see these guys. They do a nice little handshake now. They're kind of filling each other out as Ric Flair slicks his hair back and woos them as they're pacing around each other now. We're at about the 6-minute, 9-second mark as the match is officially beginning here, as they have a lock up. Shawn Michaels, headlock off the ropes, takes a shoulder tackle to Ric Flair. Shawn doing a little bit of showboating now, kind of doing his own little Ric Flair strut as Flair is looking on pretty pissed off. Flair once again going in, feeling himself. Another lock up here. Ric Flair now with a headlock going behind Shawn Michaels' left arm. Got in a nice lock there. Shawn trying to get a grab. Nice good reversal there on the Ric Flair's arm there. Ric Flair there with another reversal. All right. And another reversal as Flair does a nice little drop hold takedown. Shawn reversing that. Nice. So some nice, good technical stuff going on to get us started here. So Flair pretty much put in that position by Vince McMahon. Something that most people forget about. What really should have been stressed was every single time Ric Flair was going to be in a singles match from then on out until WrestleMania, it would be a career life-threatening match, a career-threatening match. If Flair was involved in any type of a tag match, any of that, that did not count. It was only singles matches. So if you ever saw him lose here and there in tag matches, just make a note. It wasn't a career-threatening match. It only applied to when he was in a singles match. B, he lost via DQ, count out, pinfall, submission. Once he would lose in those singles matches, that pretty much was it. Randy Orton was the first one up, as some of you guys may recall. And in that match, Jericho had came in with the distraction, setting up Ric Flair to do a low blow on Orton to pretty much get a roll-up victory there. And then leading up to Shawn Michaels, Flair was involved in, I counted this too, 16 career on the line matches. Those opponents, Umaga, Triple H, remember that was a case where to ensure Triple H would not try to do a solid to his best friend and mentor in the Nature Boy Ric Flair, William Regal and Vince McMahon decided that Triple H's spot in the Royal Rumble was going to be on the line. So if Hunter lost, he would not be able to take part in that respective year's Royal Rumble. Ric Flair would come out later on in that match with a pair of brass knucks, hit Triple H upside the head, basically causing a DQ. So Ric Flair would win via DQ. Despite what happened with Triple H would still secure a spot going into that Royal Rumble. Other opponents that Ric Flair faced in those career-threatening matches, William Regal, Mark Henry, faced MVP twice. He had a setup for the first go-round at the Royal Rumble, which then set up a bridge for Ric Flair taking on Mr. Kennedy at the No Way Out pay-per-view. After that, heading into Monday Night Raw, HBK Shawn Michaels announces Ric Flair is going to be going into the WWE Hall of Fame. And on that road to Mania, let's take a pause right here as we're at the 9-minute, 42-second mark. Let's just take a pause right here so we can really appreciate the full context of this. Where on the road to WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels makes the announcement. Flair, I believe, was the first inductee announced to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. And it was kind of cool that week because after that announcement, Flair made an appearance on the WWE branded ECW show, where he teamed with CM Punk to defeat Elijah Burke, aka the Pope, and Shelton Benjamin. And then the very next week on Raw, HBK Shawn Michaels had laid out Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch, after which Ric Flair had popped up and said, hey man, I really appreciate you doing the honors, making the announcement about me going into the WWE Hall of Fame and everything. Of course, you think about the Hall of Fame, you think about WrestleMania weekend, you think about WrestleMania itself. I want to have one of the best matches humanly possible at WrestleMania. And brother, tag, you're it. You are who I want to face, because you have been dubbed Mr. WrestleMania for so many years. Mm-hmm. I want to face you. And I love the brilliant storytelling that they gave us leading up to that match, because you had a very conflicted Shawn Michaels that did not want to do this match. And so here's Ric Flair. Hey, pal, I want you to do the honors. I want you to face me. Shawn Michaels essentially turning down Ric Flair, you know, like he respects him too much, and he doesn't want to do it. And the next thing you know, very next week, you know, Flair calls HBK out, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How come you didn't want to do this match? What the hell? And HBK pretty much tells him, hey, look, I didn't want to do the match because man, I got so much respect for you. And the way Ric Flair tells it to him, where he breaks it down to Shawn, he goes, look, there's two things that just don't apply in wrestling: sympathy and pity. And what you had displayed the previous week, I looked at that as sympathy and pity, and I don't need none of that shit from you. You know, I want to take on the very best. I want to be able to beat the best. And Shawn reminds him, he goes, look, I hear you, but if we do this match, then, you know, you're going to get Mr. WrestleMania. But if you and me do this match, I really don't want to be the guy known for ending Ric Flair's career. Right? So Ric Flair counters that. He's like, okay, so basically you think you're going to be able to beat me is what you're saying. Well, the only way to find out, accept the match and let's do this. So later on, I think it was that same episode or later that week, it was later that week on SmackDown, HBK Shawn Michaels had helped out Ric Flair in a handicap match against Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, and Edge. That was on the March 14, 2008 edition of SmackDown. Despite an appearance and interference by The Undertaker, Team Edge still won. Remember the stipulation there, right? So that did not count. Ric Flair would also face William Regal, Umaga, again in there, Mr. Kennedy. Matter of fact, he faced Mr. Kennedy 4 times from what I had saw. Vince McMahon in a street fight on the March 17th, 2008 edition of Monday Night Raw. Vince had planted Flair with a chair. We thought pretty much the match was going to be done for there. Vince goes for a cover. HBK interferes, pulls the ref off of out of the ring. And then pretty much Ric Flair was able to get in a low blow on Vince McMahon, went up to the top rope, crashed on the Vince McMahon, who was laid out on the table. Very next week, Flair pretty pissed off, calling out HBK. Why the hell did you do that? What the fuck? Why were you meddling your nose in my affairs? Like, at this point, we shouldn't be seeing each other until WrestleMania. What the hell were you doing? And Shawn was taken back by that. He's like, dude, you're the dirtiest player in the game. Like, you've done whatever it takes to win your matches. I was just out there trying to do you a solid because I saw the odds were pretty much stacked in your favor and everything. And Ric Flair pretty much coming right back, saying to Shawn, you know what, if you were 20 years older, you definitely would have faced me for the 10 pounds of gold, the NWA championship. I'm telling you this right now, WrestleMania, you need to give me your absolute best. And Shawn Michaels had the most memorable line of a promo throughout that whole freaking back and forth. Okay, is the match on? Okay, the match is on. Okay, next week, okay, the match is off. What the fuck? On again, off again. Okay, now it's on again. Shawn Michaels with the best line of the whole fucking promo here. He goes, I want to remind you of a little story. Remember the story of Old Yeller? They loved that dog. But when it was time, they had to take that dog out back and finish him. Come Sunday, the showstopper is going to take you, Old Yeller, behind the woods and put you out of your misery. Rick just fucking snapped and he just starts smacking the holy hell out of Shawn Michaels. Do it now. Come on, big man. Do it now. Do it now. I mean, he was smacking the shit out of him. I loved it. It was fucking hilarious. Later on that night, somehow these two men had to put their differences to the side because they would be involved in an 8-man tag match as they would team up with John Cena and Triple H to face JBL, Randy Orton, Big Show, and Umaga. Somehow that team won, but I remember Ric Flair did a dirty ass low blow to Shawn Michaels from behind. And of course, going into that WrestleMania weekend's Hall of Fame press conference, Charlotte Flair was there. Reed Flair, he was still alive. He was there. Everything was being documented for the WWE 24 series and all that. Just an emotional Ric Flair all throughout the night, going into his promo, all of that stuff. And it was just emotional as we hit the play button and resume here. So we're now at the 9-minute 43-second mark as Ric Flair is going up to the top rope. He always failed in this go round. Well, wait a minute. Shawn Michaels was about to intercept him, but Flair got in a punch and boom, he gets in a diving crossbody only for a near fall as Shawn gets back up with a headlock on the Nature Boy. Flair grabbing onto the left ankle of Shawn, and he was trying to go for an early figure four, but Shawn kicks him out of the ring. Shawn off the ropes. Nice, good sliding baseball slide, sending Flair into the announcer's table. Shawn now outside the ring, side apron, and a sling back shot. Ooh! Lower abdominal region hitting the edge corner there of the announcer's table. Both men are laid the hell out. Who's the referee? That referee, that looks like Charles Robinson checking in, making sure Shawn's okay. Shawn letting him know, yeah, brother, I'm good. I'm good. Look at that slingshot. Look at that. If he did not legit hurt himself right there, God bless, because that just, my stomach hurt just looking at that. Look at that shit.
Mm-hmm. It looks like it hurt.
It looked like it hurt. All right, he's still laid out. Flair has now rolled back into the ring successfully. But look, you know Flair is not going to accept a count out, right? You know he's not going to accept a count out on this one. Shawn is dragging himself to the ring here. He is trying. Referee is at 8. Shawn gets in. All right, Flair with the stomps to the upper chest. Starting to pick up Nature Boy here. Great in-ring action so far. And this match went about 30 minutes long here as Shawn Michaels gets Irish whipped into the corner. Shawn Michaels pretty much had said to Ric Flair in regards to this match, don't worry about nothing, just follow my lead. You don't worry about nothing. I got some interesting quotes from Shawn Michaels, including his most recent excerpt from his Wrestling for My Life book that I'll read to you guys. The excerpt in a little bit there as we see a near fall pin attempt by the Nature Boy, No Mas. Flair pacing himself around. And, you know, look, this Nature Boy, Ric Flair right here at now at 59, he was pretty good. Mm-hmm. He was pretty good. Yeah, he wasn't the Ric Flair that we saw in the WCW days leading up to WCW going out of business once it was acquired by Vince McMahon. But, you know, he could still fucking go. He could still fucking go. Sure, he moved a lot slower and everything, but he could still fucking go. Mm-hmm. As we see the Nature Boy with a couple of stomps there onto HBK. Shawn slowly coming to his feet just in time to get a chop. Shawn trying to fight it right back with a open hand strike there, but no mas. Flair picking him up, looking for a spike. Yeah, he's got that back suplex that connected right there. Good shit. Crowd is eating this up. This crowd is loving this. They are loving this. All right, we got ourselves another near fall here. Flair on top again, trying to go for another near fall. Shawn ain't having it. Shawn in the corner now. They're both trading shots, going left and right. I mean, this is just great psychology so far. I mean, you're picking up real emotion. This is with the sound down. You got, now listen to the commentators. You got real emotion. You got great freaking psychology that's going on here. Everything is making total freaking sense. They are literally painting the canvas right now. You don't see great storytelling like this in today's wrestling anymore. Right down to the point. You look at some of the stuff that you got going on in today's wrestling. Everybody's got to be so goddamn concerned with, I got to get in a signature. I got to get in this spot. I got to get all this shit in and make it look as though I'm throwing everything in the kitchen sink with these false finishes and pinfall attempts. It's just overly exacerbated here as Shawn Michaels goes up to the top turnbuckle. Ric Flair's on the outside. Shawn looking for a back moonsault here. Flair almost didn't catch that. Wasn't good. Boy, I missed that hair on Shawn Michaels. Good old Shawn Michaels. Look at that. Look at that back moonsault. Look at that. Now watch Flair. Jesus. Now see, from that camera angle, it looked like, but the other angle, clear as day, he didn't get him. And clear as day, he ain't fucking get him there. Both men struggling to their feet, getting back into the ring here. So we are now, Flair was 59 and we're talking about 2008. 18 would have put him at 69, 19, 20, 21. So he's now 73 going on 74 today as he is going into this weekend's supposed last match. Shawn Michaels off the ropes, clothesline to the face of the Nature Boy. Both men are down. You know Shawn's getting ready to do his trademark kip up. And usually, hey, there you go. There's your kip up. There you go. And then usually what comes after that is up. Yep. You got a knee to the groin by Shawn Michaels. Right hand to the face of Ric Flair. Flair getting back up. Boom. Shawn connecting with another knee to the groin. Another punch to the face. Flair flopping. Shawn Michaels with a scoop up slam. Nice. Continuing to sell those hurt ribs from earlier. Shawn now going. Oh, could Shawn be looking for his flying trademark elbow drop? He could be. He's looking for it. Nobody does it better. Prettiest elbow drops. Shawn Michaels. Macho Man Randy Savage. CM Punk does a really good elbow drop as well. Those are my top guys for the elbow drop. Shawn Michaels connects with the elbow drop. He is in a corner now. You know what usually comes after this? Dial it up, y'all. Dial it up. I ain't talking about 619. I'm talking about some good old sweet chin music. Here we go. Shawn looks like he's kind of hesitating here. Shawn looks like he really doesn't want it. He's about to do it, but he stops himself. And it pays as Ric Flair scoops the legs, wraps him up in a figure four leg lock. Crowd is eating this up. They're now standing on their feet. They're looking at this. Shawn selling the hell out of that figure four leg lock. He probably has a lot on his mind right now. Probably can't believe he put himself in this position. Look at this. Great freaking storytelling. Isn't it something? You can go back and you can watch something like this from like 15 years ago and it still holds up today.
Mm-hmm.
Impression so far?
Seems like a great match. Seems like some really good storytelling. Yeah.
Both men now trading chops here. Flair with a nice little scoop takedown. Oh, wow. Nice. This could have been up. Get your shoulders up, Shawn. Get your shoulders up. There you go. That was a nice little reversal there. All right. Both men coming to their feet there. Shawn with a headlock. What's going on here? Flair's trying to pick him up. Shawn reverses. He's looking for a roll up here. Brings in his legs. Roll up. 1, 2, and a kick out. So it would have been better had Rick, he's right there at the ropes, should just grab the rope, and that would have, hey, rope break.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all good. There's still, Shawn would have chopped to Flair in the corner here. Flair trying to get out of it. Shawn tosses him back into that corner, continues on there with the chops. Now we're seeing a nice, strong Irish whip that Flair reverses. Oh, man. Shawn just backflipped over that damn corner post. Boom! From behind. Ric Flair going for that that lower leg there from behind. That's a calling card of Ric Flair. When he works on that leg and he works on it just enough, you know what he's getting ready to do. We're going to see a little bit of showboating from Flair. Yeah, here we go. He's got that same leg. He's thinking about it. Yeah. Woo! There you go. Nice little roll up there, Shawn. Look like we got a near fall. Shawn to his feet. Try to look for a little sidestep enziguri. No mas as Flair locks him right back into the figure 4 leg lock yet again. I can't, on the sidebar, I can't stand it when motherfuckers are, have the first 3 rows in front of the ring and they're fucking standing up, which is taking away from the people behind. Like, can you be any more of a dick?
True.
Hate that shit. Flair still has the figure 4 applied. And it's reverse, but no, Flair gets it right back in there. He's putting some torque on it. And Shawn manages to get a hold of the ropes to force the rope break there. For those of you joining us, we're at the 21-minute, 14-second mark now of this Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 24, 2008, doing a watch along here. All right, so we got Shawn in between the ropes here as he's barely on his knees. Charles Robinson, hey man, you got to back off here. You got to let the man gather himself here. You got to let him do his thing. Sweet chin music. Shawn Michaels connects right to the dome of Ric Flair. Flair is laid out. And as many of you guys know in regards to this match, that was one of 2. That was one of 2 sweet chin musics as Shawn just, with the last little bit of energy, puts that right arm on the chest of Ric Flair looking for a pinfall, but Flair kicks out. Remember, Shawn, grand total, looked for sweet chin music 3 times. The first one got countered into a figure 4, but this go round, Shawn is able to connect as Shawn is struggling to come to his feet, doing a fantastic job selling the hell out of the leg injury there from earlier. Shawn in the corner now. Shawn looking very frustrated. He knows what he needs to do. He's asking for, he's demanding for Flair to get up. Stomping in the corner now with that right leg. He wants that fucking sweet chin music. He's looking for it. Get up, he's saying. Get up. Come on, get up. He's hobbling over to Ric Flair. He wants him to get up. It's like, come on, man, get up. Come on, honey. Get to this. You know what time it is. Let's go. Shawn Michaels back in the corner, fighting with emotion right here. He's stomping again. He's stomping. He's still stomping. Flair is still on all fours. Shawn, get up, you son of a bitch. Come on, man, get up. I love this. I love this storytelling. I love this. Shawn now coming from behind, trying to pick up Ric Flair as Flair manages to do a back kick, low blow to the crown jewels. Referee doesn't see it. Dirtiest player in the game connecting here. And a lazy cover. Shawn kicks out. 2 count. Loving this. Loving this. I am loving this. I mean, look, we're not gonna get anywhere near this kind of Ric Flair.
No.
This weekend. We're not. You know he's having a foot issue too. It starts with a P.
Plantar fasciitis?
Yes. So all that pressure that goes on that ball of the foot, you know, he already said, look, they can inject me with a whole bunch of, I'm not going to miss this match. I'm going to do it. As we see Shawn Michaels and Flair, they're wrapped up in a leg lock here. It looked like Shawn was trying to get in a figure 4 leg lock of his own here, but somehow it looked like they both are hurting the hell out of each other here. It kind of looks like as Flair is scrambling to get to the bottom rope, causes a rope break. Shawn's not letting go though. Flair manages to grab a piece of the lower turnbuckle pad as a referee had snatched that. Flair taking the distraction opportunity to poke Shawn in the eyes. Flair gathering himself up here. Shawn coming to his feet, not sure what's going on. Flair with the roll up. 1, 2, and Shawn kicking out. Great crowd, great energy. A lot of energy, a lot of eyes are just focused on the ring. This is, you know, something else that's very different here as we're watching this all these years later, this match all these years later. You look at the fact that you don't see a bunch of motherfuckers in their phones. You don't see you don't see a bunch of motherfuckers with their phones out and I gotta record this. You know, I gotta put this on Twitch, you know, or Twitter. Was that Sweet Chin music? 25-minute, 36-second mark. Let's rewind that back. Would you technically say that was Sweet Chin music, or was that just a super kick? Let's rewind that back there. Yeah, but is you know, you don't nowadays when you see all these wrestling events, everybody just their phone is out or their face is in their phone and all that fucking shit. Back then, hard to believe that this was
watched it.
Yeah.
That's all. You just watched it.
Same flow with your concerts, seeing a comedian. Now everybody has just got to be so just, you know.
Yeah.
Jesus, crazy, man.
Yeah. Gone are the days of just enjoying the moment.
Right. I mean, I'm down with taking a couple of pictures, but when you're just pretty much facing the gadget the whole time, it's like, yeah, nice chop. Yeah, I won't say that was Sweet Chin music. I'll just say that was a nice super kick to the face of Ric Flair there, as Flair just looks like he is out fucking cold. Shawn continuing to look frustrated. Look, I mean, look at how he is selling that emotion. Look at how he is selling being conflicted, you know, not traumatized, but just so conflicted with emotion as he drags himself up into the corner. Look at him. He's kind of crying now. He knows what he has to do here. Here's that hesitation, but that hesitation had cost him last time. All right, look at this. The greatest finish to a match ever you're about to see here. As a very conflicted Shawn. Look at Ric Flair. Come on. You know, the old gunslinger. I'm sorry. I love you. Come from Shawn. Wham. Sweet Chin music. Flair knocked out. And look at that respect for the cover. Look at that. The hook to the leg, the full cover. Look at that respect. 1, 2, 3. And the match is over. Look at that. Words of wisdom there. You know, nice pleasantry exchange, kiss on the forehead. Shawn quickly making his exit. Look at that wide range of emotion there. Shawn quickly, I mean, and as he should not be celebrating this because he just took down his idol. He just took down essentially a mentor. He just took down a legend. the fans, they're cheering because of the performance that they watch, but in no way, in no shape or form should Shawn Michaels be celebrating in this moment right here. Right? I want to read to you guys as we're now watching the replay of what all had came about here. I mean, just look at this. Look at this. I'm sorry. I love you. I mean, that they don't do great storytelling like that no more. Man. No, they don't. They fucking don't. They fucking don't. Let me tell you, in retrospect, what Shawn Michaels had to say as we're watching Ric Flair. Now the emotion is really, really coming out there. Fans are giving him a standing ovation now as he's sobbing. Shawn said this: "For me, it was mostly trying to stay focused while dealing with so many external emotions going on. Given all the amazing things he had done in his career."
That's Charlotte.
Yeah. Way before she joined the WWE. Way before. Yes. His son Reed is also there as well. It needed to be extra special. I don't know if I took it too seriously, but I took it pretty darn serious. Just amazing. Just amazing. One of my all-time favorite moments. Of course, you went into that Monday's WWE RAW, where it was a Ric Flair tribute show. And everybody from out the woodworks, everybody had came out, past legends, current stars, everybody had came out to pay their respects. Even Undertaker, not breaking character just yet, but even Undertaker made an appearance. Vince McMahon making a freaking appearance as well. Shawn Michaels coming out, pretty much having one of the few last words, saying, "Have I honored you, my hero?" I want to read to you guys a quote from Shawn Michaels in regards to this Ric Flair match. This is from Shawn Michaels' Wrestling for My Life book. This had came out, God.
That's probably been 8 to 10 years ago.
It feels like it, doesn't it? This came out, it looks like, in 2014. Wow. That sound about right to you?
Yeah.
Wow, time flies. Time fucking flies. So go to page 85 of this book. Now I'm looking at my advanced copy here because I had got an advanced copy to review and get a feel for in preparation for interviewing Shawn and everything. So the page number might be different for you guys, but here's what he had said. "One reason I believe the second part of my career was better than the first is because of the range and depth of emotions I brought into my job after my comeback," which was definitely, quick sidebar, which was definitely at full display in what we watched here in this match. Yes. "That was a direct result of my faith, which allowed me to tap into real life emotions like joy, sadness, despair, peace, and conflict over doing right versus wrong, and then bring those into storylines and matches. A good example is WrestleMania 24 in 2008, when we brought real life into the storyline for my match against Ric Flair with his career on the line. I was 7 years old when Rick made his wrestling debut, and he was an idol of mine growing up. After it was announced I would wrestle Rick at WrestleMania, I received a call from Kenny Kent, my best friend in high school. Kenny and I had attended wrestling matches together in San Antonio and imitated various wrestling matches together, and imitated various wrestlers' moves against each other at home. I can't believe it," Kenny said. "I mean, you are wrestling Ric Flair at WrestleMania. When you were 15 years old and we were watching wrestling on TV, did you ever think you would wrestle Ric Flair?" Shawn saying, "I didn't. A few days before WrestleMania, I popped up wide awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, and my entire match with Rick came to me. I hurried to the dinner table and started jotting down notes. Yes, it's pro wrestling. A bunch of men in their underwear fighting each other. But the element of that match that most compelled me was the story of a guy who admired another wrestler and had been inspired by him in the business. I paid attention to all the emotions I felt as I wrote out the match, and after I put the finishing touch on what proved to be one of the greatest endings in wrestling history, teardrops spilled onto the paper. When we got to Orlando, Florida for Wrestlemania, I showed my notes to Rick and Michael Hayes. As they looked over the sheet, I observed Rick's eyes moistening. He reached over, patted me on the leg, and said, "Thank you." At the end of our match, I sent Rick to the mat with my signature move, the super kick. I slowly rose to my feet and retreated to the nearest corner. I sized up Rick, still lying in the center of the ring, and started to cue up the fans for my sweet chin music finisher. I stomped only once, though, then stopped and looked down to the mat. Rick struggled to his feet and motioned for me to come toward him. I told Rick, "I'm sorry, I love you," then finished him off with another super kick. I pinned Rick for the 3 count, then rolled over next to him on the mat, draped my arm around him, and planted a kiss on his forehead. I quickly exited the ring to leave Rick to have his farewell moment with the adoring fans. The emotion that night was not acting. I did love Rick. I went from watching him on TV to having him, one of our sport's true legends, accept me as a friend and peer. I can't overstate what he did for the business. There was a lot of real life going on in that ring, and it worked. Fans wept all around the stadium. I can attest to that, and I was at home, and I can remember me and my friends were weeping after that finish. Rick sobbed in the ring and then left to embrace his family in the first row. That match won Slammy Match of the That match won another Slammy Match of the Year award. Try saying that 10 times fast. That is a tongue twister. In fact, it has been named by numerous sources as one of the greatest matches of all time. Fans still talk about that ending. When I had showed Rick and Michael my notes when we set up the match, I had asked if my idea was okay. "This isn't a wrestling match," I told them. "This is a love story, for heaven's sake." I know that sounds very unwrestling-like. There was no bravado in the plan. Instead, it was filled with humility and vulnerability. The match reflected a change both in the business and in my personal life. There was a time when, if we would have attempted that match, we would have been booed out of the building for being wussies. Even if we had tried to pull that match off then, it would not have played out the same. I couldn't have tapped into the emotions before because they weren't there. I was selfish then, and selfishness and humility are polar opposites. I pulled off my part of the story because it was easy for me, and it was easy for me because it was real now. Mm-hmm. Thoughts from what I just read of that excerpt, and then the match overall, and then as we go into the weekend. Take that in any form, any order you want. So I think his idea turned out beautifully. I think he captured the moment and the emotion of the moment. And because what he portrayed and what he put out there was probably exactly what everybody was feeling at that time. Mm-hmm. So to do that type of match just turned into a great orchestrated plan, which carried out beautifully because it was that time. It was his last match. So I think it was a great match. I think the storytelling was amazing. I think the timing was perfect. And I think it was at just the right pace. Yeah. Yeah. And sadly, as many of us know, I don't like talking about it, but as we all know, Flair didn't just ride off into the sunset. He continued to wrestle long after, it was unfortunate because ultimately he could have had a job for life in the WWE, whether it was as a backstage producer or being a matchmaker.
Hell, he could have
creative.
He could have been a Paul Heyman.
He could have been a Paul Heyman dude, right? Easily, he could have been a manager for. I mean, Lord knows, over the years, I had came up with really good ideas for. I remember one of the joints I had for the longest time. I said, man, if you ever wanted to do a updated Four Horsemen, I had Flair in the role of J.J. Dillon, and my guys were Dolph Ziggler, Cesaro. I can't quite picture who the other two guys. Oh, Miz. This was, and I think this came at about the time after Miz had his first championship run, his first WWE championship run.
That would have worked.
I can't picture who the other guy was, but if you type in RCWR Four Horsemen or something along those lines, you'll see exactly, because I think I have the thumbnail of it. You guys will see exactly who I was picturing. But yeah, he would have had a job for life, but he wanted to wrestle. And I say that because, as we all know, he eventually went to TNA. But just think about this for a second. He gets that proper send-off from WWE, a nice, pretty little bow around it and everything. Then he goes and does this Hulkamania Australia tour. I refuse. This is like my one and only time that I will bring this shit up, right? Because I don't like looking at this part of Ric Flair's career. I like block it out of my mind and everything. But he did this Australia tour with Hulk Hogan, where in the main event, he faced Hulk Hogan and lost all 4 times. And this was in the span of a week, right? And that losing streak would continue when he made his debut in TNA back in 2010. Can you guys take a guess who he lost to? None other than being in a tag match with AJ Styles, as they lost to Abyss and Hulk Hogan. Right down to the point when you look at his overall record in TNA, basically Ric Flair lost 9 times and only won 3 times. And the people that he whooped, Jay Lethal. And as we all know, funny ass, hilarious little segment there when Jay Lethal was doing his own little Ric Flair impersonation and all of that, right? I mean, the stuff of legends. It's like when you think of Ric Flair TNA, that's the number one thing that everybody thinks about. But he got a win over Jay Lethal, Doug Williams, and he won a 3-way match against AJ Styles and Matt Hardy. But the TNA, not his, I don't look at that as one of his fondest moments. And look, it's nice to hear him say and confirm what fans had felt after the fact and seeing all that shit in real time. He said numerous times over the years, but the most recent was definitely on his podcast, as I think he had reminisced with Shawn Michaels. He had said, if I could just turn back the hands of time, I would have never gone to TNA. I would have never done any of that stuff. I wouldn't have worked with Hogan. Wouldn't have done any of that, but I needed the money.
I had already heard about his money issues and that. But yes, it was definitely not a good look for him. And I remember some of those matches, and they were really, in the later point of his TNA career, and they were brutal. They really were brutal. I mean, you enjoyed as a younger fan, or at least for myself. I mean, grant you, I remember Ric Flair in his heyday, watching with my uncle, but that was, maybe once every 6 months. So as you get older, you don't quite remember it as much because you're away from it. But in watching his TNA stuff, it was like, why? It's just like he became a jobber. Yeah. Just to have something to do, just to basically make that paycheck.
Speaking of just to make that paycheck, Conrad Thompson was recently interviewed, and he responded to the scrutiny that Ric Flair, his father-in-law, of course, have been put under for this last match that's going to be going down this weekend. He responded to fans in this interview saying, hey man, this is nothing more than a fucking cash grab.
Yeah.
He says, here's the thing for me, as we're recording this, the Rolling Stones are touring. Why? A lot of people are against the idea of Rick wrestling, say, oh, he must need the money. Y'all reckon Mick Jagger needs money? No, Rick could comfortably retire just on his cameo earnings, much less he has the highest autograph circuit rate. He has the highest autograph circuit rate of anyone. I know there was a big uproar recently about another star who's in that business now, and people said, can you believe they charged that much? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was mentioning Undertaker, because we saw Undertaker's prices for C2E2 coming up next week, and he's only going to be there Sunday, by the way, for you guys. He wants $199 for a photo op. Maximum of 2 people can be in that same picture with Taker. If you want a autograph, that's going to be $199. If you want him to sign your belt, I believe that's going to be $249. If you want a unique inscription, $100.
Plus the admission into
the event. Yes. Can you believe they charge that much? For Rick, it's almost double, so he's fine. This is more about the glory, and he wants to be on that stage and walk that out and be Ric Flair one last time. Given the fact that since he wrestled last, he lost his son and he nearly lost his life, and man, what's wrong with Ric Flair one more time? I'm all for it. His doctors are for it. He feels like he can do it. He's comfortable. His doctor's comfortable. Let's go, man. We're going to have some fun July 31st at Ric Flair's last match. I think it's his call. I know that there are a couple of pretty vocal people who try to motivate local municipalities and things like that to get them to stop this. But the reality is, it's up to Rick. This is America. This is what we do. What's the difference between some of these touring acts who are all over the world playing their ass off and losing 12 pounds of sweat a night and all this, performing their shows, and Rick doing his thing? It's a tag match, guys. If you're expecting a 5, 6, or 7-star affair, Kenny Omega, AJ Styles, Bryan Danielson, hard hitting, that's not what this is going to be. Nope. You know what this is going to be? Fun. Mm-hmm. I agree with part of what he's saying, but at the same time, he mentioned it. The heart attacks, like, we understand where you're coming from, Conrad, but the fucking health issues, the alcohol issues. He's now running around with a pacemaker and all this other shit, right? He was knocking on heaven's door not that long ago, and he's at the age of 73 going on 74. You can understand why people have the trepidations that they do, even if it is a tag match. And obviously he's going to be doing a lot less than what we saw of him just now in this watch along. Mm-hmm. Surely, and I bet you the person that was interviewing Conrad, I bet you they didn't push back because they don't want to come off like, right. We would have pushed back. Respectfully, we would have pushed back. You gotta sometimes just go for it, and that's where most fans, the card, I saw the build up to the card. The card itself is pretty good, but that match itself, you just can't help but, oh, dude, please come out of that alive.
Right. Yeah.
We all could be in agreement. The shit that went down in TNA, it sucked,
but on the other flip note of that, they're going to protect him as much as they can.
Exactly. And he's got some of the best. I mean, no matter how some people may feel about, no matter how you may feel about Jeff Jarrett, when's the last time, if ever, you ever heard, man, that person that had wrestled Jeff Jarrett got fucked up? Like, never. Jay Lethal, like, same fucking thing. Andrade, same fucking, I mean, he's in really good hands. Mm-hmm. He's in really good hands of people that, when it's all said and done, yeah, he might have not been able to get access to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat or FTR, but when it's all said and done, he's got, working with him, he's got some of the absolute best in their own respected right. And, it should be good. I mean, look, I'm going to be checking it out for curiosity, but also because the card itself leading up to that main event, card itself is kick-ass. We'll dive into the card more on Wednesday's show, but the card itself is pretty badass. So I'm looking forward to that. Final thoughts though, in regards to just, you know, the Ric Flair watch along and what's to come of this Sunday and yeah.
Well, I mean, the watch along was nice. It was nice to see it in the match in its entirety. What's to come of this Sunday is he's going to be very protected. He'll do as much as he can. Hopefully it will be fun and entertaining. Obviously that's what he wants, I'm sure. And obviously his doctors want him to be protected. His doctors want him to come out of this, not alive, because that's extreme, but, unscathed. So, and he wants his Rocky Balboa. He wants his last ride off into the sunset.
It's funny you mentioned that, because now I can't help but wonder, how old was Sylvester Stallone when he did Rocky Balboa? Rocky Balboa came out in 2006.
He probably was 56.
So Sylvester Stallone is 76 currently. So if you rewinded 10 years, he would have been 66 in 2012. So 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 65, 64, 63, 62, 61, 60. So Flair
beaten that by 12 years.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Well, actually, what's actually interesting is, didn't you say in 2008 Flair was 59?
Yes, I did.
So in Balboa, he was 60. Interesting. Anyway, just thought process on what he was saying.
To your point, I wouldn't be surprised if also, I want anybody that gets an opportunity to interview Ric Flair or Shawn Michaels leading up to this match or even after the fact, ask if that WrestleMania 24 run, if that was at all inspired too by Rocky Balboa. Because remember, Rocky Balboa came out in 2006. And this WrestleMania 24 match went down in 2008. You can't tell me they weren't influenced by, come on.
At least a little bit.
Come on. It's the talk of the town. Come on.
True.
I'll make a bold prediction. What we just watched, out of 100% of Ric Flair's offense in that WrestleMania 24 match, I'd be shocked to see 50%.
Me too.
I would be shocked to see 50%. So what do I mean when I say 50%? I would be shocked to see repeatedly Ric Flair taking back suplexes, being tossed off of the top turnbuckle, being tossed outside the ring through the double ropes and all that, going through an announcer's table, Ric Flair's trademark, Irish whip him, send him into the ropes, and then he flips over the rope, runs it, then he gets clothesline. I would be shocked to see all of that be part of the repertoire. I'd be very shocked. What I'm expecting is a ground matted type of Ric Flair. He will only leave his feet where it counts the most. I can picture him leaving his feet maybe a grand total of 4-5 times max during that match. Most of his shit's gonna be ground game. I can see him being in a position where he's going to keep being double teamed on. They're going to keep him from out of the corner of Andrade. I can see some shit going on like that. I can see Andrade getting a hot tag. He's coming in as the big savior, get a nice pop from the crowd. And then they're going to work on fucking Andrade for a good little bit. Give Ric Flair that nice big comeback, hot tag hero kind of moment, right? I can see shit ending with Andrade and Ric Flair, since they're now officially father and son-in-law. I can see them doing a fucking double finish with their trademark moves, maybe a double figure four leg lock on both guys. I am already picturing how this is going to lay out. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually comes to. But I wouldn't be surprised if most of you guys are hearing me say this right now, if you guys are like, yeah, that's kind of how I'm picturing it as well. We'll see. But I like, out of 100% for his offense, I'm going with 40% at most.
Yeah. I actually was thinking a little lower than that, but
even Hassan agrees. Hassan's like, Hassan agrees. He says, yeah, I see it exactly going down just like that as well.